game. That was a
Seeing my
hell of a
reaction.
game. That's how it is.
I did not expect it to go like that whole I thought that they were going to mirror the Ravens Texans game. I thought like maybe a little rusty in the first quarter and then like a huge pull away. The 49ers are known to play games like that, so yeah, for it to be back and forth, but I mean they played the worst that they could have played, in my opinion. Maybe besides turnovers, but in my opinion, Brock Purdy played terrible. Kyle Shanahan, Jake Moody. There was rain. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, and then they went into the fourth quarter trailing, which is something that people give Kyle Shanahan a lot of grief about. His what is it, 37-1 record, 37-2 now. And I think both of those games have been against Packers too, which is
Mhm.
crazy. I loved that. But to be honest, like I'm so happy that we advanced and now we have more football to analyze and talk about. There was a second there where I thought, oh, like I really thought it was over, and I was sad. Well, I think I was more mad, but I would have been sad. Now I'm just really happy. I feel like I just took like 4 shots of coffee. So I'll let you talk now. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a game. It's kind of like, if you're looking for a game that's like a highlight game on the outside, this is the type of game. I mean, the 49ers, my initial thinking, this is a game they did not deserve to win. It's not. The Green Bay Packers dominated for a majority of this game, at least 30 minutes, likely more if you go up and tally it. But this is a game that despite that, the 49ers won. And we've talked about it on previous shows, and I've said it on my own. We have yet to see the 49ers this year pull out a victory like this. They have lost in those close
Yeah.
game environments. We have not seen them come from behind and kind of, or even stay close in games and then pull those out. It's the victories, and you're not going to complain when that's the case, but they're victories of 10 plus points usually. And so this is a completely different game. And so that's why for the 49ers, what I tweeted after, tweeting the initial stuff was that this is a game this was a needed game. And it's good that it happened now because the 49ers needed that game where they could go overcome adversity and find a way to win when they did not look good at all.
They definitely did. I like this game as kind of both a narrative like enhancer and also a narrative crusher, because I feel like Kyle Shanahan choking in big games, 49ers playing down to their opponent, Brock Purdy not able to throw in the rain. Like you got all these things that were you're like, yep, that's true, that's true. But then they also, I mean, did you have any faith that they were like, was there a point of time? I know you said they didn't deserve to win, but did you expect to win the entire time? Or was
No,
there a point in
no,
time where
no.
you were
You
like,
can't say
"It's over"?
that. Well, here's what I'll say. Did I think that they had a chance to win it at every point of this game? Yes, yes. I don't think that they were ever ultimately out of
Sorry,
this.
I
Go
I
ahead.
meant did you think they were gonna lose? Like, there was a point in the game where I was like, "Oh, it's over." Like, when they were in the
Hmm.
beginning, I was like I remember when the first quarter, I actually thought I got arrogant on Twitter, and I thought that there was no way that they wouldn't win, because I was like, Green Bay just played the best that they could have played. The 49ers defense played terrible. The 49ers offense isn't, showing out. Deebo Samuel gets injured in the beginning half of the game, and Green Bay walked away with 3 points after like looking really good. And I was like, that has to be disheartening if you're the Packers, because you're like, how do I play any better than this? That was the one thing. The 49ers defense was letting them walk down the field, but they were stopping them in that red zone, which was so critical. And then getting the turnovers, also Dre Greenlaw, huge shout out to him. Although get down when you get an interception. I was like, he's going to fumble the ball and they're going to return it for a touchdown. Like, that's the energy that this game had. That is so the energy that this game had.
Yeah. But
But
no,
after that, like, confidence later on in the game, I really like, there was a time where I was like, it's over the opposite way, where I was like, I think the 49ers are going to lose this, like, for sure. And
I
so
don't think I ever had that moment where the 49ers, I thought that they were going to, like I said, it's over in that sense. I don't think I had that moment. But were there times where I did believe the 49ers could lose this game? Absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned in the first half, the 49ers were dominated for the first 15 minutes. I know they scored that one touchdown drive that took 12 plays, but it was field goal, and then it was, a fourth down stop, and then it was another field goal. And through that, while the 49ers did have one possession offensively where they scored, they did not look good. Brock Purdy did not look good early on. He had a near interception that was a pick six. That could have been a pick six on his second, on his second throw
yeah,
of the day. And then he had
I
one
th-
later
yeah.
on. But again, like I said, this was a game where you hoped the 49ers could pull it out to show something different about the team, and I think it did. The
Yeah,
49ers
this is
now
something
have
that
this type.
we've
Exactly. Go
often
ahead.
talked about this, right? Like you said they would have to win a game like this in order to win the Super Bowl if you thought that was possible. And I think our conclusion was whenever they've had the opportunity to pull out games like this, they have not been able to. So,
Yeah, exactly.
incredible. Now, do you think Purdy outplayed Love? Because there was a point in the game where I felt like the 49ers defense was not shutting down the Packers offense. And I think Marcus Thompson, he covers the Warriors, and he said, who's going to win in a shootout, Jordan Love or Brock Purdy? And I think it was obviously a joke, but at the time, I felt like with some of the balls that Jordan Love was playing, I thought Jordan Love might be outplaying Brock Purdy. Now, he did the most important job of the quarterback is to protect the football. He turned it over twice. Brock Purdy didn't, but like you explained earlier, he definitely showed opportunities to. And there was some erratic. What was that? This was earlier on in the game. What was that throw? It was down the field. It was a beautiful throw, and then no wide receiver in sight. Is that just
Right.
miscommunication? I don't know. That 49ers were off. Do you think that this is something that will carry on next game or just rust that they can shake off? Because
Yeah, I
they
don't
did
think.
not like they were lucky to be playing a younger Packers team in the rain. That was, they couldn't, I don't think, have won this game if it was against the Ravens at all.
I mean, yeah, it's again, it's the level of opponent. It's different things like that. And sure, we could say that, but do I think it's going to carry on? First of all, I don't think this is rust. I don't attribute it to things like rust. It's just rust is something you shake off, and I don't think the 49ers really ever shook it off. I attribute it when you look at how this game went. One, sure, it was raining. It was. But Brock Purdy struggled to throw the football at certain times in this game. But more importantly, I think even more importantly than that, two, Kyle Shanahan's lack of a willingness to go to the run game. I think Christian McCaffrey entering the fourth quarter with 11 carries is inexcusable when you're facing a Green Bay Packers team that
Yeah.
is the 28th ranked run defense in the NFL. Moreover, Christian McCaffrey had a 39-yard touchdown run with great blocking on that cutback play where he scored, and the 49ers elected to give him the ball once on their next drive. There was another drive one time after that. Christian McCaffrey got 3
Zero
carries
touches, right?
in a very, very, he got 3 carries in a very small sequence. And then around midfield, the 49ers dropped back and threw for the next 5 times. It was, one was a completion, or the second throw was a completion, and then it was 3 incompletions, pass on first, second, and third down that led to another, that was the one where they punted at the Green Bay 40-yard line. These type of things you should not be allowing. The 49ers in this game, and I'll say this about Matt LaFleur as well. I think Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur both had the exact same issue down the stretch. Both teams could not execute offensively, and the reason, in my opinion, was that both were going away from the
I feel
run
like you're
game.
making a great point, but you just cut out.
Uh-oh. Are we
Sorry.
good now?
Yeah, we're good now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I
But
was like
no,
invested in what you were saying, and then I was like, up, it just trailed out.
but what I was saying is that I think both teams struggled offensively because they could not sustain the run. Both teams did not go to the run at the end of the game. I think that was a huge issue for Matt LaFleur and for Kyle Shanahan. Ultimately, though, Kyle Shanahan got the last laugh because he had the final drive to find a way to get things moving. Brock Purdy, I think also huge credit goes to him for clicking it together. He looked frazzled on that second to last drive. That's what my guy Kyle Posey tweeted out. He did not look great on that second to last drive either. He was missing throws on that second to last drive. Like I said, the 49ers punted at the 40-yard line. But after the missed field goal, it clicked. He clicked, and he clicked at the exact time that you wanted him to click. showed some good adversity for me.
Definitely that's a positive way to spin it, right? Because I feel like the majority of people are going to spend a lot of time criticizing Kyle Shanahan. I mean, that going into halftime was insane. The using Jawan Jennings as a running back, deciding to test that theory out in a playoff game, I was yelling at the TV. But I did find it really interesting that they didn't get Christian McCaffrey more involved. I mean, record-breaking year from him going against a Packers team that defensively has struggled in general, but specifically has struggled against the run. I predicted that it would be and in the rain, and Brock Purdy looks shaken up, and one of your wide receivers goes out. I mean, everything was lining up for him to just run the ball down their throats. Why? What was his insistence on not doing that? Was it something the Packers defense was doing, or just Kyle Shanahan decided he didn't want to run today? What do you think?
I honestly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't think the Packers defense was doing too much different. I think that the boxes weren't overly stacked. I even saw some 6-man boxes. The Packers were in nickel for a good portion of this game. They had a lot of defensive backs on the field, and I think the 49ers could have easily exploited things in that sense. When you have Christian McCaffrey, who had 90 yards on his first 15 carries. I know one was a 39-yarder, but he was averaging 6 yards a carry up all the way up until the fourth quarter. That's something where you've got to get him the ball. You just do. And Shanahan sometimes, he was trying for some trick plays. He had a quarterback keeper for Purdy. He had the Jawan Jennings run. Screw all of that. Just run the football down the field with Christian McCaffrey, with Elijah Mitchell. And because the Packers right now, they were struggling to stop it, not only McCaffrey on his own, but the blocking scheme as well seemed to be favoring the 49ers. And so that's a good question. And I think they have to fix that in the next game, because something that I mentioned as one of the biggest keys for me going into the divisional round was the 49ers, or whoever plays, has to be balanced. You have to be balanced and this game showed it. Both teams did not go balanced at the end of the game up until that final drive for the 49ers. And that is where both teams faltered. Running the football was the key to winning this game, and the 49ers needed to do it more in order to have a better chance early on when they were struggling, especially because they were struggling in the passing game.
Yeah. It made absolutely no sense to me. And especially because, like you're saying, like he was performing well. Like it wasn't like when he was trying to run, he was always getting stuff. Like he was getting tons of yards. I thought he looked extremely productive. I felt like it took Kyle Shanahan way too long to kind of get away. They were doing a lot of those lateral throws to Christian McCaffrey, and those were getting stopped immediately. Really quick, because I know that I'm not 100% sure about your amount of time, but I want to go to the other side of the ball. I don't really know which one I want to critique more, and I know that we're being a little bit negative. Someone made me laugh in here, said Ashley was adding 3 levels to my stress. I tried to, if on Twitter, I really tried to be like positive, because I remember in the Eagles game when they started off, someone's saying Ambry, we're getting there, but I have to tell a story every 4 seconds for some reason. In the Eagles game, when they first started out, the offense went 3 and out, the Eagles scored, and it just looked terrible. And I remember I was like really living with each down, and I tweeted out something like the Eagles aren't even in the same league as the 49ers, which ironically they're not, but I meant it I thought the Eagles were better way. And then the 49ers ended up blowing them out. Well, I talked to Eric Crocker later on that week, and he kind of told me like the 49ers played as bad as they could have played, and the Eagles only scored 2 field goals. So I knew at that point that the 49ers were going to blow them out. So I was carrying over that optimism because I was like, Green Bay has played as well as they could have played. The 49ers defense has sucked. Their offense is lost on the field. And so I was like, they're going to end up pulling away and blowing them out. And then I felt so dumb, and I came back with full force, and definitely was like, I was like, I'm so mad. Like when Jake Moody kicked, I was like, if I ever see him walk on this field again, I know that he made the kick later on. I don't care. Never. I don't want to see him ever again. I hate him. I also watched this game. I think I said this earlier with my friend, and it was so funny to like explain everything to her as this was happening. Explaining to her why Kyle Shanahan decided to experiment with giving Jawan
Juwan?
Jennings the football for a run instead of the star running back that broke records this year. Was a little bit frustrating. Or the like, you don't want to play him? Okay, you got two backups who also average like 7 yards a carry, but why not test out Jawan Jennings, the slowest wide receiver you have? So incredibly frustrating. But going to the defensive side of the ball, I don't know which I'm more frustrated. It felt like the defensive line did not go home, but when going for storylines, I think Ambry Thomas, it made me sad. I was telling my friend, once again, she's not doesn't super watch football, so I was like telling her, he came in as a rookie, then his second year he really had a slump, then he was sat an entire year, and then he finally comes back, he calls his shot, he's been playing great all season, all regular season long, and then what the heck was with his performance today? Old Ambry Thomas decided to come back in a playoff game, the most important game. You lose it and you're out. And Ambry Thomas was like, he just panicked. He was like in good position, committing penalties when he didn't have to. What was your thought on the 49ers defense as a whole? Maybe you want to start with their secondary or their whatever was stuck out to you the most, because they didn't,
Yeah.
to me, live up to their standard.
I mean, here's kind of how I view it. Overall, I think we've seen some lapses from the 49ers defense during their win streak. And then a few of those issues kind of came out in their loss to the Ravens. But the main thing to me is I saw two things from the 49ers. One, they do have some issues, particularly at edge rusher when they're crashing the edge too much. I think that was a key in the run game where the Packers got a lot of explosive plays because the defensive ends were crashing. Chase Young, Randy Gregory, I saw both of them do that on certain occasions. But the one thing that I did see that I think I've noticed a little bit now, the 49ers are a really, really solid team inside the red zone defensively. They are a really good red zone defense. Today, Green Bay got into San Francisco territory, I believe, 4 times and scored a touchdown once. They were not able to score touchdowns. And this is something that thwarted last week, if you watched, thwarted the Los Angeles Rams. They got into Detroit Lions territory 5 times and scored 1 touchdown. If you have that capability, even if the opposing offense is imploding on you, you still have a chance to win football games. Now, the 49ers defense, the main reason they need to get off the field is so they can get their offense more opportunities and get themselves less tired and off the field. But I think that there are issues with the defense, but overall, I think giving up 24 points to what I believe is the best offense remaining in the NFC outside of the 49ers with the Green Bay Packers, I think is a success. I think that their main issues came from the offensive side of the football in this one, because 24 points is good. I understand he missed a field goal. Could have been 21 points. Sorry, could have been 24 points. He missed a field goal. Anders Carlson did. But I thought it was a pretty good game outside of a few issues in the run game. I think as Ark Armstead gets more acclimated, I think you might see some improvements in that regard as well. But yeah, I mean, defensively, I think it's a concern.
No sacks.
Yeah, but the reason that I'm not wait, I know, but the reason I don't care too much about the no sacks is Jordan Love is incredibly good when it comes to avoiding sacks. He will get pressured. He got pressured 9 times in the first half, but didn't get a sack. So I know that's an issue, but if you look at Love specifically, you saw that there were issues with Love at the very end of the game. In the last few drives, Love was inaccurate. That was a key issue. He had a couple of questionable throws, including the pick. He had a couple of issues, and even with that, even with the 49ers not getting sacks, I think their bigger issue wasn't their pass defense. It was their run defense in terms of their pass rush. I mean, obviously, secondary-wise, Thomas, you don't want that penalty. The 49ers did something twice in this game. Deshaun Gibson committed that penalty where he was perfectly in position and he just hit the guy early. Ambry Thomas in position could just go up to make the interception, and he hit him early despite being in position and also turning around and looking at the ball. Those kind of things you don't want to see necessarily, but I'm not as concerned, I'll say, about the defense.
Hit the like button. I liked this one. I'm glad that you're not as concerned. I'm very concerned, but potentially we'll have more talks and I'll calm down. I think someone said earlier that I added 10 years to their life with my stress factor. So maybe we can balance